Welcome, everyone. My name is Harriett Washington, and I am so glad and honored to be here on today. We are sitting in the studio of Mr. Ron Hill, celebrity photographer based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Ron, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Harriet. It's good to see you. It's good to be on this panel.
Yes, I am so glad that you accepted my invitation. You know, I put that invitation out for several people, but there were certain people that I had in mind, and you were one of them. And I'm just so glad to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, actually. It's a beautiful day. I'm good.
Yeah, it is a beautiful day. So, we're here because we know that the alarm is sounding off in the fashion industry. And when I sent out this invitation for you and my other panelists, my other experts, resetting the standard of fashion was really heavy on my heart. From just the time I've been here in the industry and just seeing things and being able to produce fashion shows, being able to be behind the scenes, back of the house, there were some things that, had me kind of like, we need to, sit down and talk about these things. And so when I did this, I identified 8 areas in the fashion industry that is very important. And you being a photographer, that is one of the main things, our foundation, that, we have to stand on in this fashion industry. So, so before we get started, I want you to, everyone has already seen your clip, your introductory clip, but let's allow them to hear you say who you are. So Ron, introduce yourself to the world of who is Mr. Ron Hill?
Well, my name is Ron Hill. I am a photographer based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I do shoot more lifestyle, a luxury style of lifestyle, but I do shoot an array of different things. But I think lifestyle, making people like us look very wealthy and luxury, that's my expertise. I've been in this business over 10 years, and currently now I own 2 studios. Well, I'm a co-owner of 2 studios, concept studios by the name of NHG. And that's me. That's me.
Wow. I remember, when you first was getting into photography when you were a teenager. I mean, in fact, that was the last time I saw you as a teenager. And now here you are, a grown man with a master plan in photography. Tell us how you really got started into, photography and how it developed into you now being a looks photographer.
I kind of fell into photography when I was young. Kind of started out when I was growing up. My mom passed away, and all I had is just photos of her. So I used to create these visions in my brain or dreams in my brain of how she would be, or when I'm looking at these photos of her, how did she act in this scene, or what was she doing and how did she do these things, or what, just trying to learn more about her.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of catapulted me into creating images, because I studied these images of my mother.
Wow.
Like every day, because this is the only thing that I had of her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so from there, I not only created in my mind, I guess, thinking now is like I created these visions or this world of who she was, and I took that and I started to photograph other family members and trying to create those memorable moments with photography.
Wow.
I didn't know at the time that's what I was doing, but as now looking back at it, that's what it was.
Wow, what a beautiful way that you took something so tragic, and especially for a young man, to lose a parent, a mother especially, and then you turn that pain into a passion of wanting to visualize and allowing your vision to create something that you no longer had physically. What a beautiful way to look at photography in that way. And from there, how did you learn how to hone your craft after, once you started there? But how did how did your journey go on from there? And how did you learn? Did you go to school? Did you how did that process happen?
So I started just dabbling and creating different things. I know I had an interest in it. I'm from Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
So, and if you know Flint, I'm not gonna say there's not opportunities there, but there's not many opportunities there when it comes to like being a creative kid, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And at that time too, maybe more so now, but at that time, that wasn't anything that people were, focusing on. And so I just did it. I don't know, but I just kept doing it until I got to the point of creating different flyers and all of that stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. I just know it came. You know how sometimes people say God, he gives you your purpose early.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what you're doing with it.
Right.
And so for me, that's what happened. And so I think he gave it to me early, and I just it was the thing, from my pain, it was the thing that brought me joy. It was something to hold on to. It was the love. It was my mom's love. It was a gift from God that he gave me. And that was the thing that kind of took me to the next step. But then further on, I kept at it. Didn't know why I had an interest in it, but I kept doing it. Yeah. And then I ended up moving with my sister. And she was working for Procter & Gamble. She worked for this incredible salon in Charlotte, and before that she was working for Paul Mitchell and being a platform artist and all of these different things. And she kind of exposed me to what I seen on TV and what you're doing. You can really take this far. Right. And so I kind of got engulfed. So she would have photo shoots. She's like, oh, I have my brother. He's with me. If he can give you a hand, I don't care if he needs to hold a bag or if he needs to do this or do that. He's here to help. I can bring him along. You need help? Because she knew I had an interest in it. So I definitely, I think she definitely placed me or put me in the environment to start off this career doing what I do.
Yeah, she definitely, and your sister's name, of course, is Sparkles.
Right.
Shout out to Sparkles, baby. And she put the spark, and she puts you in that environment. Yes. How important is that for people who want to start in this business and in this industry? How important is it for you to find yourself or surround yourself in the environment if you can? Because there could be some people who can't get in that environment or don't have anyone who could put them in an environment such as yourself. But how can they, what would you say to that in reference to, how would a person be able to, say, get that fire burning if that's something?
I think it's very important. I think it's very important. I think, mentorship is very good. I mean, in the instance where I was at, wasn't nobody else doing what I was doing, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't really have that around. So I can understand people saying, well, I don't have that. That's not really in the community that I'm in, or that's not in the place or the space that I'm in. I don't really have that. But there are research. There's social media, it can be used for bad, but also too, if you can weed through the negativity and the things that really doesn't matter. I'm just speaking in today. Like when I came along, we had YouTube. I would stay up all night YouTubing how to retouch, learning about the camera. This is even before I took photography in high school.
Yeah.
Just learning different things. And there's someone out here that has an interest like you. It might be not as strong as you, but I had friends that were interested in like photography or just taking pictures or something. Yeah. But try to surround yourself around people that, that kind of understand to us, or other creative people. It might not be a photographer. You might be a photographer. Somebody might be an artist, but that emo kid that they're like, oh, they're kind of odd, and she likes to, braid baby doll's hair at the age of 15 is like, but she's learning her craft.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for me, that's what I did. Like I took a lot of, I did a lot of research. And even when I got to the point of, I took film photography in high school. And I remember at that point, I have been doing photography for a few years now.
Right.
And when I met my teacher, his name was Mr. Springs. I don't know if he's around, but I remember him arguing with me a lot about, you know, using negative space, the things that we were learning in class. And I was like, I get using negative space, but I can see my work on a billboard. So you need to bleed so that sign can go, that bold or that GQ or whatever it is, that can go at the top. And he's like, no, you need to bring that down because I need you to frame the photo. And that was my big debate in school. It's like, no, I can see an extra spread. I put the person here and it's a write-up next to them. He's like, why you got all of this negative space? But I had learned my way of doing things, and it's not bad. I was that kid too. Some people might look at me or look at me at that time, the older cats, like, this guy don't know what he's doing. He's just doing what he want to do. He's trying to do whatever, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. So it's not bad to go against the grain, but be respectful and understand how to work in that box as well, though. And that's very important. I think so, for sure.
That is very important. So now, you are getting this knowledge and you're getting these skills and you're getting the skill set. And you used to reside in North Carolina, right? And you did some work there. When did you have that big break? When you knew it was time for you to take your photography work to the next level? Was it a project, or was it just a knowing?
I think it was a knowing. I would say I did get opportunities that presented itself earlier on, like working with some of the local designers of local stores like Lotus. You remember Lotus?
Oh
like,
my gosh, yes.
But I don't think at that time I knew what that opportunity was like and what it looked like from afar.
Yeah.
I was just a person that I wanted to learn. I think it was a great thing to be working for this company or working with these different people. But I think too, I was exposed to it with my sister, and I was just hungry to learn and want more. So when these opportunities that came that were, bigger opportunities, I just treated it like if it was any other opportunity and just worked hard and stayed humble through the process of it all. I don't think I really felt like my life and my career had the thing that kind of made me step into my thing. Probably wasn't until, I'll say a couple years ago.
Wow.
Because I think I just stayed steadfast and I just kept going.
Yeah.
And I was thankful for all of the opportunities.
Yes.
But I wanted to learn more.
Yeah.
And so when these big things, I give celebrities their all due respect. I give, people in higher places all due respect, but I'm not that person that becomes very starstruck. I'm thankful to work with the neighbor. I'm thankful to work with, the local designer. I'm thankful to work with my family. I'm thankful to work with the president.
Right.
Everybody is equal to me.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
good.
When I show up, I put my best foot forward, no matter who I'm working with.
That's good.
And I think that's what kind of create longevity in this thing, And I don't know. I would say when I started making money, doing what I do, I think I felt it a little bit like, I can really, but this is me being honest, I still doubted myself because I was just like, when you're in this freelancing world, you're only employed until your next opportunity.
Say that again.
So I shot the president last week, but I'm unemployed this week.
Right.
And so it makes you feel like, damn, like, you know what I mean? How can I keep this thing going? And I think you just have to humble yourself again, and you have to just live day to day and kind of be present in the moments and not take one job and get the big head and feel like, oh, I'm that guy. When people introduce me as a celebrity photographer, I kind of cringe because I'm like, I have shot celebrities, but I don't think that identifies me. And that's just my own personal thing. Some people love to hear it. Some people love to say it. And it's okay with me when people do say it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not about that. I'm not in it for that.
So you're just that guy who has that camera in your hand, who can make magic, and not even magic, but more of just getting into that person, your subject, in
That's
that
key.
moment.
That's key. That's key. That's key. You want to make anybody, whether it's somebody grandma, you know, or whoever, a little kid, or somebody with a disability, or somebody from a different background, or whatever their challenges are in their life. You want to make sure everybody feel equal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you never know what people got going on. And for me, as a photographer, I see the most vulnerable things that come out of these people when they step in front of a camera.
Right.
And sometimes for me, I have to, when I see it, I say, okay. It's almost like somebody with a gift. It's like, okay, I gotta figure out how to bring the best of them out of here. Because right now, even if they walk around with the most confidence, when they step in front of the camera, all of that melts down and I see them.
Right. Wow. So, and that leads me into my next question, because a lot of our guests, our gold ticket holders, who is now, you know, watching this, they're in the industry of fashion. A lot of them are models. We have stylists. We have other photographers. We have designers. We have creatives, influencers who are watching this right now. What do you say to that model who may, you know, is ready to take their career to the next level? They see all these different national campaigns. They want to be, you know, a brand influencer or a brand ambassador. They want to improve on their shots and their posing. What do you say to them in reference to what is it that you as a photographer are looking for, and especially in that space of not your family or your friends, or, you know, just a regular photo shoot, but when it comes down to your models, and when it comes down to brands, and what brands are looking for, what is it that you see that when you first started, you know, in the photography business and doing this as a freelance? What are some of the things that you saw then, and what are some of the things that you see now that you feel like needs to come back or be eliminated?
Okay. I would say when it comes to photography, models, I think they definitely need to do their research and study the greats and the women and the males that came before them. You know, I definitely think do your research, and that's across the board, even when it comes to photographers.
Yeah.
Do your research. I definitely think, you know, and study these things, because one thing about it, all of the things that you're studying, whether it was a Tyra, or whether it was, you know, whoever Annie Leibovitz, when it comes to photography, when you learn these things are going to come back around.
Right.
And you need that. And I think with these models, there's nothing wrong, because some people get picked up because they have that look and they don't have no clue where to start, you know. But I would say, even if that is you and you learn and you get put in that, you get those opportunities, but you need to learn your craft after that. You know what I mean? Just because you was the face of Vogue because you was walking down the street and they put you on the face, you still need to, you know, do your research and learn what it takes to become and stay in that position, because you're only a face into the next person. Also, too, I have noticed a lot of these models, when they show up, they don't come with model bags.
Ooh.
They don't come with the proper undergarments.
Ooh.
You know, if you're doing a test, sometimes they come with a face full of makeup.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Sometimes they come with, they don't know how to do their makeup.
Oh.
You know?
Right.
So it's different things that I've learned. I feel like they need to bring that back. I think,
Okay.
you know, knowing your craft.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. And if you don't know, ask somebody. And if you're not aware or if you don't know, communicate that. But don't come in here thinking you the next Naomi. And when I get ready to do a beauty shot, you don't have a strapless bra because we need to get this beauty. You want to sell skin, but we can't. How can we sell that and you don't have the proper undergarments? And then you don't feel comfortable enough to wrap anything around you. But now you didn't come prepared.
Right.
You know.
So preparedness. This is what I'm hearing is that preparedness is very important. Not just having a pretty face, or not just banking it off of your one or two opportunities that you've had, but to really understand your niche and your market and what you're doing.
For sure.
And then how important is it for your models to come on set and not know their brand that they're shooting for?
That's why I said you have to do your research. You have to prepare yourself for these things, these opportunities, and these jobs. I mean, for a model, I would say you definitely need to understand the brand, know the brand, and also you gotta know how to move, because what are you selling? If you're selling makeup, if you're selling skin, if you're selling hair, if you're selling just beauty as a whole, or if you're selling clothes, you can't give me all of these beauty looks and your shoulders, but you're supposed to be this. We're selling pants and t-shirts. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you
I don't need you doing all of the smiles.
No, I need you to sell these clothes, because at that point, this is not a test for your portfolio. This is a job, and you're selling these things. So you need to, whatever you do your research. If you're doing a beauty shoot, you're selling makeup. Make sure you know how, because just because you have a great look doesn't mean that's going to last throughout the photo shoot. I've shot beautiful women, or people that are very handsome looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they didn't know how to move. They didn't know how to connect with the camera. They didn't know how to sell the product. Wow. And so that's very important. I would definitely say, definitely do your research, study, prep yourself, prep your model bag, your model kit. You need to make sure you have great undergarments. You also want to make sure you bring a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Whether they're black or brown or blue or both. Tank tops, nude perfectly, because you can, it can kind of blend. You never know what you're going to be pinned up against. But also, doing your research.
Yeah.
Knowing, being aware of what you're selling. And
who your brand you're selling and what they're looking for. Because
sometimes they have a director or somebody to coach you through it.
Yeah.
But be open, because it's about you. You're the face.
Right.
Nobody else. They're paying you to sell this.
Right. And how important that is. I had named your segment, "You Are One Shot Away." And being that you shared with me of how you really got into doing brand work for different brands. And I would love for you to touch on that again with the audience, of how you were just finally fed up of where you were working, and you knew that that's not where God had you to be. And you knew for some reason, some way, somehow, it was that camera and you behind that camera, looking through the lens. Share with us how just that one decision brought you to where you are with being that photographer that brands absolutely love.
The story about me. So, fast forward, going into the place. So I worked in production for over 8 years. So I put in some time, and I learned from, set etiquette to everybody else etiquette, how to prepare, and knowing, not only just my craft and learning lighting and knowing lighting to, cameras, to being a great assistant. Then I get to this point that I'm like, okay, after 8 years, I get laid off, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to move on to this new season. What does that look like? I go get a job because I don't know how to make this thing work. I'm out here, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna try this out. But I think the thing was with me being there, I know I didn't like it. I was still in the service business, almost like in this. I service people, and I think I did that well. I mastered it.
Yeah.
But then after me being in that space for so long, I was like, okay, it's definitely really time for me to press out my craft and push it out there and let people know who I am.
So one shot, I themed your time with you, you're one shot away. And I know that it was that one moment that you said, you know, I am done with doing this because I know it's more than that, and it's behind the camera. Share with us your one shot moment of when you knew it was time for you to go, and then what happened when you made that decision. You launched out into the deep. What happened with that?
So I would say I was working for production for 8 years. It came to a time that things were at the end, so they were getting ready to grow into bigger and better, and it was time for me to grow. You know what I mean? So I had to end up, moving on to the next thing. And when I did, I said, okay, what is that next thing? I know I want to be a photographer. I know I really want to take this seriously, but like we talked about before, sometimes you don't have those people to get you to the next level, or sometimes it just takes you to put yourself in places and spaces for people to know who you are. You know what I mean? And so for me, I said, okay, it's not about who I know, it's about who knows me. And so that's when I started to try to create things. So I went along and I got a job, and I was working at a hotel for over a year. And within that year, I'm not gonna say I hated it. I just was servicing people, and I did it already, in the process over 8 years. We're working as a team and things of that nature. But on that platform, I was just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. This is not even what, I don't mind doing it in the world that I want to be in, but this is not the world I want to be in. I was serving tables and, helping people carry bags, all of these different things. So I said, after I worked for a year, I said, okay, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. And I remember telling my friends and my family, and they like, yo, what are you doing? Like, are you sure that's the right decision? I can't help you. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, just don't jump too fast.
Man.
Right?
And I was like, no, but God was telling me I definitely need to make this step.
Yeah.
So I literally, I left. I put in my 2 weeks. I stayed 30 days. So after the 2 weeks, the manager was like, "You want me to put you on the schedule for the next week?"
You was like, "Go ahead."
So I stayed, another 2 weeks. And after that, I stepped out there on faith. Now, when I left, literally, I had my last paycheck plus my PTO, maybe rounded out to about $1,200 altogether. And I had a car note, I had rent, I had bills.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know how and what and where, but I just know he said move.
Right.
So that's what I did. I just said, okay, it's time for me to go. So I literally left everything at that job. My last day, I took my uniform off and took it in everything down to my name tag and put it on the office. I said, put it in the, they had like these little manager offices that, a lot of the employees would come in and out to talk to the manager or whatever. I laid it on the thing. I said, whoever wants this, they can take it home and wash it. They can have it.
Oh my God.
I won't be back here.
Take it.
Yeah, so I definitely, I left all of that behind. But when I left, I kid you not, let me see. I left maybe on like a Tuesday. It was my last day.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, maybe that Thursday, I got an email from a big major liquor brand to work and to do an event.
Wow.
Now, at the time, I was like, yo, I want to shoot for GQ, and I want to shoot for this, and I want to do that, and I want to shoot for these hair care companies and all of these different brands, and and I didn't know, how I was going to do that, but I just know that's what I wanted to do. And so when I I left my job and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. And when they hit me up, I remember saying, okay, I'll do the job. I know I don't want to shoot events,
Right.
but that's what they wanted me to shoot. And I said, okay, well, how much do you charge for doing events? And maybe like $200 to $300 an hour.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And at the time, I had a friend that was helping me manage my business. Because I was like, I tried to get a game plan before I exited. I said, okay, if we can get these jobs,
right.
Listen, you take your percentage. Let's connect. Let's do whatever we need to do to connect with these people out here so we can get these. She was really known in the city, so and so she was connecting me with people. But we end up coming across this job that they hit me up about. And she was like, yeah, Ryan. And I said, I'll do it, but I don't really like. They said, yeah. The description was, I need you to come. They were launching a new, I guess, a new additional flavor or something to their brand. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. They said they needed me to come shoot in the event for 2 hours, and they wanted me to return 5 photos from the event. That's it.
Wow, that's all.
That's all. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. You know, it should be easy. And then the guy tonight was like, okay, what do we charge them?
Right.
I said, I don't know. Let me add this up. 3, 6, that's $600. I'm like, okay, well, let's put a little bit more on there. Let's just do $900. You know what I mean? And so she was like, but this is a big brand.
Right.
You know, you need to do your research.
That comes up quite a bit.
Yeah,
research.
Do your research. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do my research. I'm like, oh no, they're really big. They're working and they got sponsorships with other brands. They're working with different, different other businesses that they can coexist with. And I'm like, okay, well, they probably have the money for this. And I didn't know how to charge at the time. I was happy to get $200 for a photo shoot. You know what I mean? I'm like, right. This is good. But I was like, if I don't do this often, let me just charge a little bit more. I said, no. She said, no, you need to charge more. She said, so just throw something out there. I was thinking maybe like $2,000 or $2,000 to $4,000. I'm like, for real?
Right.
And she was like, yeah, it's a big brand. All they can do is come back and rebuttal. I said, all right, we'll say 5.
Yeah, right. You might as well. Let's do the 5. Put 5 on it.
So she went ahead and she sent the email off or whatever, and she said, yeah, I can do it for 5. And
so 5,000 just from saying and was like, I had enough. I can't do this anymore. Put in your 2-week notice.
Within the same week of me quitting my job, I charged the company $5,000 for 2 hours of work, and they only needed 5 images back. And I didn't even know she was going to accept it, but I put it, and she said, okay, well, can you be there at 8 o'clock? I need you there from 8 to 10 and just shoot and then just return the photos in the morning.
Oh my gosh. So imagine if you would have just gone on with, I'll just do $300. And what if you would have gone on with that notion and not do your research as what your friend told you to do? You would have definitely shot yourself. And then even, being bold enough to say, you know what? I did the research. We see that it's a big brand. We see that they have the funds. They have the money. Why not? And you did it.
I said I should have charged more. I said it was too smooth. They said, okay, yeah, be there at 8 o'clock. I'm like, yo, wait. I still think I undercharged myself.
Wow.
But it definitely was a good experience. And I think that was the thing that made me, like you said before, made me think like, okay, I can really take this thing a little bit more serious and I can definitely get paid. They love the way I shoot, the color scheme and all of this thing. I'm like, I can really take this to the next level. So I did that, and then I kid you not, maybe a month from there, before, I remember, rewind, I was working at the hotel, and this company that's out of New York, it was a male grooming company. I remember the owner calling me up personally, said, we seen your work, we love what you do, we want you to shoot for our brand. And I'm like, okay, cool. It was kind of like a interview meeting type of thing. But at the time I was working at the hotel. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, and I at the time I would work 16-hour shifts. Ooh. Yeah, and so I said, okay, on my break. And then they pushed the time later. So I literally told my coworkers, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I went to my car and I laid down flat in my car and I took the phone call. And I think I talked for like 15 minutes, but I definitely, was trying to sell myself on it. And they was like, okay, well, we're gonna hit you back after I talk to the team. We're gonna hit you back and let you know, where we go from there. And literally, right after I did that job for that liquor brand, they called me back and said they wanted to put me on retainer.
Wow.
Yeah. And then a couple months later, I was working for hair brands. I was shooting products. Wow. I was shooting the campaigns for the hair companies, and I was making check after check after check after check.
Right.
I think I made over $100,000 in that year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just launching out on the deep.
Yeah. So step out there on that faith, when you feel it, when you know it. I mean, and I think you get these opportunities that come in life, and but you definitely, even when those things come, you still go back to your research. You still go back to, your humble self to don't forget where you came from, but also too, how do I sustain this? Because I made 100,000, but then the next year I only made 40,000. Right. You know what I mean? So you want to just kind of balance that thing out,
And keep it steady.
Yeah.
So that is so key, and it really segues into my we're rounding up here. Gosh, I wish we had more time. Shoot. But for our models, because me being a model manager and a mother agent and helping to develop and help put you and other people in their face and to help them. Is there such thing as an internet model and a professional model? The differences between a freelance model and one who is now being represented by an agent. Because you've touched on a couple things, and that is one of them is the model mag, and just knowing what you are doing in your brands. Because a lot of models always say, well, I'm ready to be paid. I want to get paid. I've done this show, I've done this magazine, I've done this online magazine, I've been in these shows, I've been to New York, I've been to Paris, I've been to Milan, but I still don't see the fruits of my labor. And one of the things that I would share with them is that it's not really on the runway where you're gonna, see what you want. It is really in branding. Help some of the models understand, because this is the reset, and I want everyone who's going to watch this, I want them to know what it is that can help to elevate them to that next level. Give them some nuggets, give them a few tools that they can put in their bag to help them get in front of photographers like yourself for brands. Because what's definitely true is it's not always what you know. It is what you know, okay? Research, study, educate yourself. But it's also who you know and how you present yourself and how you show up for a job.
I would say for models, okay. I don't want to be mean. There are, if you are a social media model, there is such thing, because people are getting jobs off of that.
Yeah.
So in this time, that is true. That is such of a thing.
Yeah.
But also too, if you're just a model, a face, and you sell products in the lanes of, I would say, a brand, and sometimes the two coexist. Mm-hmm. I feel like whether you're a social media model or you're a regular model, like I said, you definitely just need to do your research. You definitely need to be educated on what you're doing and take it seriously. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't want to discredit anybody. I've done some influencing jobs as a photographer, and I've had to be the model or a face of a brand. And so, with that being said, but I prepared myself for it. Right. So even if it's not working, you doing runway, and if you are just the face of a brand, you definitely just need to do your research. You definitely need to be aware and know and be, I guess you'll say, educated on all of these things. I don't want to discredit anybody out there. Some people might be like, "Oh, Ron, you're wrong. You know, I put in the time. I've done these things, and I kudos you for that, because I put in the time too. You know what I mean? But I do respect the next person to come along just like me, and they may get further than me at this time. You know what I mean? But how long would that last?
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, it is hard for, because we you know, it's a lot of things. It ain't even just about the social media model or just the regular model. Now you competing with a computer, which is AI.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And so you have to be up on that and understand, you know, the shift and the industry and keeping up with, you know, because that's what you're saying basically, is that you got to keep up with the trend and what's happening right now.
For sure. But all of the things that you learn along the way, and you keep yourself being educated, and you keep yourself in the know and not in the how, and knowing what's going on. The trend is just the trend. Yeah. That's just something that you will be able to just take along with you and say, okay, they're doing this now. Okay, I'm a model, so I might have long hair this season. The next season they might, because if you go to the modeling coach or the agency, you will say, okay, your hair is too long. This doesn't serve any, unless we're selling hair and that's not what you want to do. You want to do more high fashion, so you may have to cut it shorter, or you may have to do something, or color it darker, or color it lighter. You know, it's things that you may have to do to get to wherever you're trying to be in this, because it's so, at this point in time, technology has grown so much, and even our world of creatives and, you know, talent, it has grown so big. It's a wide range, so you may have to sometimes put yourself in these different rooms, and what does that look like for you? You might have to change some things up. You might have to be innovative, because you don't want to sit and wait and say, okay, well, they're doing this now, and I don't want to do that. You're fighting against whatever's coming, and then you just get lost in the shuffle, and then they move on to you. I think, you know, stay relevant.
Stay relevant.
You know, to a certain degree, but keep who you are. Be true to who you are in this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But educate yourself. Know and be a servant to others, because it may be a model that is greater than you, and you're like, oh, why are they getting all of the jobs, and why I'm not getting all of the jobs? It might just be her personality, and that what might shines through. Might even not even be the look. You know what I mean? It's crazy, even though that's what you're in this business for. But it's like, okay, she has the personality. Even though this girl is beautiful, she can definitely, people are going to believe her because she has the personality to sell this thing.
So in essence, for a model especially, and wanting to, you know, be a brand model or a brand ambassador, they have different names. You definitely have to make sure that not only are you physically, you know, appealing, but your character, of who you are, your personality, because, you know, and I know even with being a photographer, you definitely want to have that when you're on set, because what do you see? What is it that you can tell the model if, you know, if you had to say she's new and she doesn't really have direction of, you know, posing and things of that nature? What do you say to that person when it comes down to them, you know, being able to engage with that camera? How important is that?
It's very important. I definitely think for me, I try to make the people transform. And I'll always give a tip. I say, okay, if we're selling something, right, I need a variety of different looks, because sometimes people want to go from here to, but it could just be, I could sit here and be, since I'm the model, I can sit here and be this, but also I can be this, right? This is just a, you know what I mean? Or I can turn here, you know, so all the subtle moves, but you have to create these things in your mind. Sometimes in my mind, I would say, okay, right now I'm serious. Now I'm that boss guy. Or now I'm, you know, I'm trying to allure something. This is how I will look at somebody that I'm attracted to. All of these different things in those seconds of me shooting. You know what I mean? And so you have to dig inside or create these lists in your brain on how to transform yourself into these different things in the split of a second, you know?
In the split of a second.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I, in my teaching and just helping with development, is that I would tell them to look through different magazines.
Oh, for sure.
You know, go through different magazines, look at the different brands, research. Look at the different brands that you will want to, you can see yourself as being a brand ambassador, or you're in that campaign. And I would tell them, you know, in these magazines, tear the ones that you like out. You can see yourself doing that, you know, that editorial shot. And bring it with you. So that if you had a small break or you had a time where you can look through it, if you know, it's a memory jogger.
That's being prepared.
It's being prepared.
Like your model bag, that you could create a model list of things. You put it in a folder or put it in your phone or whatever, and it's like, okay, right now I'm drawing a blank. I need to know some poses. And I have in my iPad, because I try to be prepared for a lot of different things, so I have in my iPad for models posing. And it's like, okay, let's do an array of these different poses for this look. You know what I mean? But it would be good. Is every now and then you might get someone that just comes there and kill it, you know. But sometimes, you know, I'm trying to help educate the community as well, you know. But I think definitely, like you said, you look through the magazines, go to Pinterest, go to your idols. I mean, you know, like the people that are out here that were here before you, and mimic those things in the mirror. Look at yourself, and even for me, I'll say, as a photographer, I wanted to get a job to shoot for a male grooming company, or to shoot, at one point, I'll be honest, I couldn't afford a suit. And I like this whole distinguished gentleman look, right? And so I would go buy a suit, I would sit in the suit and I would shoot myself, but I would imagine myself being on this, you know, Jack Daniels commercial or whatever that looks like, you know what I mean? And I would mimic these things. So I did my research. And that's how that was the thing that catapulted my photography career as well. Because when people see my work of me mimicking these brands, even with myself, people are like, oh no, not only that he can shoot for our brand, this looked like something that one of our ads, but also that's him in a photo. So he gets it, he knows of it, all of it full circle.
Wow.
And so that was me doing my research, you know, gathering all of the knowledge that I needed to do on both ends, you know, and that's what took me to where I am now. So now I'm doing that, but now I've branched out and I've opened up 2 photography studios here in Atlanta, Concept Studios, and they're doing great. And this is just a whole nother world of mine, but I'm doing the research. You know what I mean? I'm getting educated. I'm learning so much more about business. I would say when it comes to photography, you can have a craft, you can have a gift, but what will take you further is to know how much you are worth. You know what I mean? Knowing how much, you know, how much you should get paid for these things. Knowing having models sign model releases. You know, all of those things, covering your butt, because I've known models to try to sue other photographers for certain things. By right, as a photographer, once you take that photo, you own it. It doesn't matter who's in it. But if you don't have them sign a model release, they could take you to court because, oh, you put that on your website and I didn't, you know, I wouldn't do that, and I would check through, but you just want to make sure, and then even for the model. Because you do meet photographers that are out here, they're not like, you know, I'm not gonna say good photographers, and they are using these photos for other means. And if you had them sign, that covers you, you know what I mean, as well. You release it to them, but you can also look through that model release. Models read everything and say, okay, because sometimes you never know what's in the fine print. It may say that they could put the pictures out there and sell you to another brand, and that's not right. So you want to make sure you do your research, and then on the other hand, as a photographer, you do your research as well, and become educated about all things. I had to educate myself on makeup. I had to educate myself on hair. I had to educate myself on all of the things that I do. So I can know what to charge for, you know, how much to charge for these things, know good set etiquette, know, you know, what everybody on set what their worth is, because sometimes me as the photographer, sometimes I'm at the and I want to make sure I fight for your model. I fight for the hairstylist that on set, so to make sure everybody get paid equally, and you know, that's important.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
That's very important. So we're heading into 2025.
Ooh.
We're already here, you know. What's next for Ron Hill?
What's next for me? There's so many great things that I have in store. I have these 2 studios and they are doing really well. But now we have to move into our own location. So my next thing is to buy a building for myself.
Wow.
And have all of the things that we can offer. You know, you can bring your models here or host your models at the facility and do a casting call, or, you know, do, if you're even sometimes brands partner up with, you know, agencies to get, you know, models. So you can do like the go-sees here. Also, you know, offer things for other photographers and creatives, and, you know, I want to launch some great things for the creative community and things that we need, down to even like wellness.
Yeah, because it all plays a whole role in everything. You know, because when you're not well on the inside, it shows on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you try to do to cover it up, it all shows up. And especially behind that camera, you know, with your mental wellness, with your physical wellness, and just your overall well-being. So that's so very important. And my goodness, like, I wish this didn't have to end, because we can sit here and we can just chop it up and chat and talk about it. The reset, it's so important. So some of the key points that I hear from you as a photographer is that make sure you do your research.
Yeah, that's the reset.
That is the
Sometimes
reset.
we get so far out, we out in the middle of the land, and there's nothing out there at this point. And so what you gotta do, you gotta go back to the beginning. And what did you do in the beginning? You learn, you sit there and you learn. And I think people, if you're gonna take this, whatever career, seriously in this creative world, I think you do start with doing your research in some shape or form. Even if it's like, oh, as a hairstylist, oh, I like the way that they do this and I want to try that. That's still something that you researched that and then you implemented those things. And so for us, I think sometimes we get too far from that. And every now and then, you gotta go do that reset. You gotta go do reset. Yeah.
And it's okay. I think people have taken that word reset in the wrong way. Sometimes
it's
people,
not a start over. You know?
It's not a start over. It's a reset. It is, let me pause this. Let me reflect on what I did, what I did not do, what I can improve on, what I can do better, what I need to take away, what I need to add on. That's what the reset is all about. And that's what this is all about. You being able to be in front of creatives, our experts, our generals, I call them my generals, honey, that are in this business, that have put in the work, that have done their own research, that have, you know, been tested, tried and true in your craft, and it shows. And so that is that's what's so amazing about this, and being here with you, and being in your space. I mean, your space is gorgeous. So before we end, how can they keep up with you? And do you have anything that you would like to give to our audience, or, you know, offer to our audience for them to be able to experience Ron Hill?
So you can follow me on my Instagram page, which is Ron Hill, just my name. My website is ronhillphoto.com. You can also find me, or find the essence of me or my vibes, through my studio, which is NHG Studios, and our website is NHG Studios. And if you do book, just tell people that you've seen this video. Tell us in the description that you've seen the video, and I'll give you a percentage off, maybe like 5% or 2%, something like that. I'll look out for you though.
Yeah.
I definitely will look out for you. I appreciate you, Harriett.
We definitely will make sure that you know, you'll check your email and you'll have all of the different fun things from our sponsors, from Ron, and from all of our experts. Ron, this was awesome. Gosh, just to know that I've known you since you were a teenager to now here.
Yes.
It is an honor.
It's
It
an
is a
honor.
privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Harriet.
Oh, it's the reset. Ron Hill. Don't forget the name. We're out.
Yo, I'm Ron Hill. This is The Reset with me and Harriet and a host of others. See you soon.